Today is the 4th anniversary of Brexit, the perfect time to step back and appreciate all promises of Brexit that are now a glorious reality. Things like a well-funded NHS, lower food and clothing prices, lower energy bills, a thriving steel industry, a boom time for fishing and farming, lots of exciting new trade deals, easy trade with the EU, and the same freedom to live and work anywhere in Europe. A rapidly growing economy, with the UK a respected and influential player on the world stage. Have I missed anything? God, when you put it like that.
Yeah.
Although I've got to say, I didn't realise the anniversary would come round so quick. I forget that anniversary, just like I forget my own. But I did enjoy the clips that emerged as a result of that anniversary, especially those of Brexit backers who were so sure of themselves pre-referendum, who now look like massive tits. Here's one of them. Have a listen here to the lead singer of The Who, Roger Daltrey, on Sky News when he was an avid Brexiteer.
And further away. Is it going to be bad for British rock music?
No, we don't do the rock business. What's it got? It's got to do with rock business.
Are they going to tour in Europe?
Oh dear, as if we didn't tour in Europe before the f***ing EU. Oh, give it up.
On that note,
Give it up.
thank you
very much, Betty. That's great. We're going to have
If you want to sign up to be ruled by a f***ing mafia, you do it.
Just a quick one.
Like being governed by FIFA.
Oh, God. Oh, hindsight's a wonderful thing, eh? Rog, not very cool at all.
Again, just note the conviction that he was so sure of himself.
Yeah, and so wrong. So wrong. Sticking on the theme of music, this one is quite funny. So it's Bruce Dickinson, who is from Iron Maiden, and Farouk posted a clip of him talking in 2018. We're going to listen to that first.
I was one of the people that voted for it. I'm quite relaxed about the idea. There's a lot of nonsense and scare stories being made up. Brexit will enable us to be more flexible, and I think that people in Europe will get an advantage from that. Brexit actually opens our borders. Brexit opens the United Kingdom to the whole of the world, and rapidly after that, people will forget about all this nonsense about Brexit and just say there is a new relationship with the UK. That's it.
It's just described the exact opposite. We have literally voted to make ourselves smaller, inhospitable, and unable to trade as easily. So I'm afraid, Brucey babes, people haven't just forgotten about all this nonsense, as you say. And Bruce himself may have come to that conclusion too, because here he is talking again in 2024. Sigh.
So at the moment, all this guff about not being able to play in Europe and the Europeans not being able to play over here and work permits and all the rest of the rubbish, come on!
Well, that'll do it. Come on! Well done. Well done, mate.
If in doubt, just come on, yeah. Or what did Roger Daltrey say? Just F off. Like, yeah, I wish you'd gone and done the negotiations.
But look, for balance, it's not just, older rock stars that ballsed it up about Brexit and didn't know what they were talking about, because here is a clip from Love Island around the time that we voted to leave. And it was posted by British Memes on Instagram.
About Brexit.
What's that?
Where we're leaving the European Union.
I seriously don't have a clue.
It was to leave the EU, so we wouldn't be part of Europe.
EU, which would mean welfare and things we trade with would be cut down.
So does that mean we won't have any trees?
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 Oh. No.
It's
got nothing to do with it, babe. That's
Why wouldn't we
have trees?
What are you talking
No,
about?
we're just not in the European Union. We're still classed as being in Europe.
Doesn't it mean it would be harder to go to Spain and stuff?
So it'd be harder to go on holidays?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I love my holidays.
Yeah.
I flipping love my holidays as well. Oh, dearie me. I tell you what, you might have guessed it. There's a theme that runs throughout this podcast, Anna. It's people talking out of their assholes. But it's not just Daltrey, Dickinson, the people there featured from Love Island. But, and this is much, much worse, because why should members of the public really understand the intricacies of what it meant to have membership of a trading bloc, quite frankly, which is why, arguably, we shouldn't have had a referendum in the first place. But the people who really did know, the people who knew exactly what it really meant, the charlatans that sold us Brexit in the first place, and quite frankly, either had no clue when they should have or lied, they're the ones we have to take umbrage with. Take, for instance, Andrea Leadsom. In fact, yes, genuinely, take her. Andrea Leadsom, who was made a dame thanks to her Brexit efforts. In 2016, she tweeted, Brexit would have no impact on the UK economy. Cut to dame, ain't nothing like a dame, Andrea Leadsom last week.
Well, actually, businesses always face the cost of doing business. Businesses knew at the time of Brexit that in leaving the European single market, there would be additional checks at the border because, by definition, we were no longer in that single market. There was no surprise about that. I can certainly remember as business secretary myself back in 2019, every day meeting with businesses, roundtables, to help them to prepare for us actually leaving the European Union. And to understand the additional checks that would be required. So businesses are used to the costs of doing business.
Businesses bingo, businesses. Do you think she does business with Gillian Keegan? She loves business as well.
Two business women doing business.
Yes.
Talking business.
Yes, they do so much business with their business, that business. Maybe she said it and it doesn't mean anything, so... As Boris Johnson once said, F business. Maybe Beth Rigby doesn't see us as a politics podcast exactly per se, Marina. Maybe she sees us as two businesswomen, talk about business. I don't know. Christ almighty, Andrea Leadsom, what is she on? Anyway,
Dame.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Dame, Baroness Dame. Satirist Rosie Holt, the comedian, did a version of that absolutely car crash interview, which was actually with Kay Burley, and I think Marina and I prefer Rosie Holt's version.
Well, actually, businesses always knew the cost of doing business, and at the time of Brexit, businesses knew we were leaving the singles European market, and I remember sitting down with businesses and saying, look, you are the foot soldiers of the liberation movement that is Brexit. And so some of you will be cannon fodder, and we will think of you fondly if any of your businesses do, but that's the price of freedom. And they understood that.
So basically, what we didn't realise is that businesses had to take one for the team. And the team was essentially the really, really rich elites like Odin Crispy or whatever his name is. Odious Crispy.
Yeah.
Crispin Odie. You know the one. I've forgotten his name.
Crispin Odie.
By the way, we learned, whatever. Potato, crisps in it. We learned that, I'm pretty sure he made a donation, sizable one at that, to the Reform Party. So there you go. He's moved his allegiance now.
Really? Golly gosh.
Didn't get that news in Mexico, did you? Didn't reach Mexico.
No, that didn't reach Mexico, thank God. I had no thought of Crispin Odie when I was lying on my lounger, which is a good thing. But the Reform Party is interesting, isn't it? They have, if you were looking at it from their point of view, they are doing well. They are gaining in numbers, but let's just hope they don't get any seats and just absolutely screw it for the Conservatives. Yeah,
I'm happy. If they want to split the vote, good. David Gauke, who is the former Tory cabinet member and Lord Chancellor, interestingly tweeted, so the message now is if you're a small business importing from the EU, you either have to absorb the additional cost or source goods, presumably more expensively, from elsewhere. When this was pointed out in 2016, it was described as being part of Project Fear.
Oh, yeah, they're basically like, businesses don't mind. They're like, we get it. Take one for the team. We get a blue passport. And Ian Dunt tweeted, so this is what Brexit sovereignty, I can't say that word, sovereignty. Sorry, I'll start again. So this is what Brexit sovereignty tastes like. The freedom to pay higher prices in a cost of living crisis. Yeah, great. And we all know, don't we?
Who's that Lord? Moynihan. He was Lord of the Week for about 4 days. He was Lord of the Week for about four podcasts running.
Months.
He actually said in response to all of this, he was basically saying, it doesn't all just boil down to pounds and pence. It was about more than that. It was about sovereignty, obviously. And it's like, it wasn't positioned that way. And I actually responded to him and showed him the front pages, the headlines that were all about cheaper bills, cheaper food, like reduced cost for bloody everything. But to try and make out now and to try and rewrite history suggests that actually businesses knew the cost and we were always going to have to just like pay these higher costs. Like, it's so gaslighty, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm just going to say that in my personal view, Brexit always has been, always was, and always will be just a big pile of shit. And that's it.
Again, Beth Rigby, I think her analysis might be slightly different.
Do you think? I'm not sure. Put that on a bus. Look, we all know the damage that Brexit has done. And in fact, the government themselves have conceded that farmers and food and drink companies are already suffering and they're going to be hit by extra paperwork and then checks that are going to cost 330 million quid. Brilliant. Meaning higher costs for consumers and less choices. And that's thanks to the latest Brexit checks that they finally come in, haven't they? After having been delayed 5 times. I mean, it's just all so ridiculous. Bloody win-win.
Yeah. Do you know, I've got a group with some of my uni girls, and I think I've mentioned to this friend before that she voted Brexit. She voted Tory. It was back then. I don't think she would do it now. But the chat was about how their grocery shop is going up, and these are middle class ladies, right? They're very comfortable and talking about this, and I know it was passive aggressive, but I obviously joined in the conversation, knowing that one of them voted Brexit. And I went, gosh, and it's awful. And it's about to go up now because of these Brexit checks that are coming to play on the 31st of January. Oh, does anyone know the address of someone I can send an invoice to for these additional costs? Just left it like that. Just left it in the chat.
Did you get a response? Did you get a response?
Nope. And as a result of all this fanfare around the 4-year anniversary, Kemi Badenoch, actually I saw someone refer to her on Twitter as Bad Enoch, which I thought was quite clever. Enoch Powell, Bad Enoch. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, see? Got to you there eventually. So she, who is becoming very quickly one of my least favourite Tories, she took to X to promote her pamphlet, and it was a pamphlet on Brexit successes over the last 4 years. It was a big read, War and Peace style. It was 24 pages. And a lot of people went through this, and experts went through it, the real ones, not the think tank ones, and basically surmised that it was a work of fiction. So 2 of the 24 pages were taken up of Badenoch pictures of her just looking rather pleased with herself. And you had stuff in it. It was like all the stuff that we know has been disproven. So stuff like vaccine rollout. Oh yeah, that old bullshit chestnut. 73 free trade agreements, which fails to mention what we all know, which is that these were rollover deals, and that the new deals that were signed, like the Australia-New Zealand one, were admitted by the former Environment Secretary, George Eustice, as being shite. And also, riddle me this, Kemi Badenoch. If the Brexit dividend that we hear about was so huge, then why have the Tories had to raise our taxes to the highest they've been since the Second World War?
That's a very
Where's
good
that dividend going?
point. Yeah, where's all the money? I'd like to get a copy of that pamphlet. It sounds like an excellent bedtime read, or I could wet my bum with it. And then after that... gross. Or after that, then I could really get my teeth stuck into The Plot, the new novel by Nadine Dorries, which is probably equally fictional. Who knows? Anyway, this all takes us nicely to the next clip. So we're going to have a listen now to Chief Charlatan, the Mog, the old Victorian pencil himself, on GB News. And this is, just get your gas lights out, give him a good light. He's talking to a farmer who might actually know a thing or two about farming.
Inside the EU, we had sections of the CAP, which was a food policy. Outside of the EU, we have no governmental food policies. You cannot...
Farmers hated the CAP.
Food policy.
Every farmer I ever spoke to loathed the CAP, the constant regulation, the interference.
No.
And half the directives that are still affecting farmers are from our membership of the EU.
The CAP guaranteed a food supply at a known cost over the last 30 or 40 years because it guaranteed supply. We are in a situation in this country at the moment where agriculture and farming is falling off a cliff. In Kent, here, the Garden of England where I am, apple trees are being grubbed at a far faster rate than ever before. We're planting vineyards. We can't get any labour. Well, the labour we can get now comes, instead of from Europe freely, it comes from Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, all around the world on visas, which are very expensive, creates a lot of red tape. So most farmers, fruit farmers down here, are packing up. We're planting vineyards.
The growth of vineyards has been doing extremely well.
So it's just, oh God, it's so insane. It's like a skinny person, it's like a malnourished person saying to a great big well-fed person that they're like really hungry, and the well-fed person saying, "No, you're not. No, you're not. I'll tell you why you're not hungry." And also that clip, I thought it was the very essence of Brexit, which is why I think it was so powerful, because it's a father, it's his livelihood, telling Rees-Mogg that his industry has been decimated by Brexit, and then Mogg spends the interview trying to persuade him, convince him that it hasn't been, all from the comfort, by the way, of his GB News studio, having never run a bloody bath, probably, let alone a farm.
Yeah, exactly. It's absolutely extraordinary. Horrible.
And Jacob Rees-Mogg as well, he also tweeted, "I will be discussing the great benefits of Brexit from 8 o'clock this evening on State of the Nation on GB News." And Dr. Ian Overton responded, "What will you be talking about from 8:01 though?"
I know. I saw that and I did a similar tweet. I said something like, starts at 8, finishes at 5 past. And I was just thinking it would be so funny if you said, "Good evening and welcome. You're watching GB News. I am Jacob Rees-Mogg. The benefits of Brexit. And good night."
To the weather.
Jesus.
The posh accent of Jacob Rees-Mogg sounds like someone else that we use.
Does it?
It's your it's some or is it your generic like saddle of beef Tory?
I don't think I'm very good at Mogg. I'm not very good. I actually
tell you what we are good at though. Susan Hall.
Susan Hall. I know. I have to listen to her before I do it, but yeah, that's probably better. I think it's very difficult to talk like Jacob Rees-Mogg, just to take a second on that, because I don't know quite how you get your... I can't do it. You cannot get that plummy. Oh, it's horrible. Anyway, the Purple Pimpernel tweeted on the polls as well, by the way, that now show, obviously, that most people think Brexit's a pile of poo. And he tweeted, "How very convenient. When 52% of voters were in favour of Brexit, the will of the people, the willy of the people, as we like to say here, was sacred. Now that figure is 13%. We should just all move on." Muddled bunch, these Brexiters, aren't they?
Yes, muddled. One person, though, that wasn't talking out of her arse, who I think actually should have really had more attention paid to her, was Labour's Anna Soubry. And this is a sobering listen. This was her.
Hang on one sec, because she's not Labour. She was very much a
she
Tory.
Was then.
No, she was a Tory.
Oh shit, was she?
Yeah, she was Tory. She's one of the people like Gork who got ousted out, and then she started that.
They went to that new party. Okay,
yeah,
fine.
she's proper conservative.
Who should have had more attention paid to her was then Conservative Anna Soubry. So have a listen to this. It's a sobering listen of her fighting the Remainer corner before we left.
If we do not deliver frictionless trade, either by a customs union or indeed by some magical third way that the Prime Minister thinks she can deliver on, and good luck to her on that, if we do not do that, thousands of jobs will go. And honourable members sitting on these benches in private conversations know that to be the case. And what they have said in those private conversations is the loss of hundreds of thousands of jobs will be worth it to regain our country's sovereignty. You tell that to the people of my constituency. You tell that to the people who voted Leave in my constituency. Nobody voted to be poorer, and nobody voted Leave on the basis that somebody with a gold-plated pension and inherited wealth would take their job away from them. I'll give way.
Yes, and of course, she was a Conservative who made sense. So she was purged. No.